In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. I'm Nestor Lecanto, and pleased to welcome as our guest for this week is from the Office of Public Auditor, the Public Auditor himself, Speaker B.J. Cruz. Speaker, good to see you.
Good morning.
So please tell us about this new audit that came out on government leases. What was the purpose of it?
Well, as you can see from the audit itself, this is not the first time that the OPA has done a audit on leases. We did one in 2005, 2015, 17. And I thought that maybe it was time for us to do it again to see how much space we have that we are leasing, and to see whether or not the government had followed our recommendation to have someone or some agency responsible for overseeing the leases. Because as you can see from the report, the legislature is able to lease office space at $1.49 a square foot. The judiciary is able to lease space at $1.59 a square foot. And the government of Guam has an average lease of $2.22. And that, even that varies. I mean, within the ITC building itself, the government agencies are renting as low as $3.90 a square foot for the Department of Administration, and over $3 for the AG's office in the same building. And by the way, the government of Guam owns the underlying land that ITC sits on, which is managed by GITA, and they don't have any special deal, as landlords of the real property, to have any kind of break, except for the fact that they've been able to carry over their lease for almost 20 years. It's all in disarray, and then you have Department of the Customs and Quarantine Agency that's leasing it over $4 a square foot.
So what's your solution? I guess you're seeking some kind of solution for this apparent wide disparity in per square foot lease amounts.
Well, not so much that I'm seeking a solution. We were making a recommendation and have made a recommendation in our previous audits that some government agency should be responsible for handling the leases, so that they can negotiate these things so that they're within some kind of understandable range. Why would you, in the ITC building, have the Department of Administration and the Attorney General renting and leasing at a difference of $1.10 a square foot? $1.90, and the others are the AG's above $3 a square foot. Why wasn't that, why? How did that happen? And it's not a matter of floors, because the Office of Department of Administration has several floors there, and they have ocean view also. So, why the difference? And the other thing that we discovered when we started to do this lease is this should have been released earlier in the summer, but for the fact that so many of the agencies could not provide us with a copy of their lease.
How could they not provide you with a copy of their lease? It seems like they should have that readily available, right?
You would think. And so I kid you not, you know, some of them are on month-to-month lease because they don't have a written lease, and that's the Department of Public Health.
Yeah.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
So how would you suggest setting up this person or entity that would oversee all government leases? What is your recommendation?
Well, initially we recommended Department of Administration through GSA to do it in the first lease. Then we made the recommendation in 2015, and I think in 2017 when we made another follow-up, we recommended that maybe GITA, since they handle GovGuam properties, since they're the lessors, as it were, of government property. They handle property for the Chamorro Land Trust. They handle property for the the Ancestral Lands Commission. And so we thought maybe GITA might do it, but GITA said they couldn't do it if they didn't get any money to operate it, to oversee this. But without it, we're paying millions of dollars a year.
How much is the executive branch spending on leases per year? And how much do you reckon they would save if there was someone who was kind of overseeing the leases?
Well, the total in this report was about 15,700,000. 15,700,000. $15,700,000. If could they lease it at could they get someone to oversee it and somehow get it down to how is the legislature able to get away with $1.49 a square foot? Those of us in this building are leasing it at different rates. Here in the PDN building, by agency and the legislature, we're all paying different per square footage. Somebody negotiated good deals for some people and didn't negotiate good deals for others. I don't know the answer. The other thing that we wanted to point out was that if you're paying $15 million a year in mortgage, in lease payments, don't you think it would be time to invest in owning property yourself and not leasing property? Jason discusses this a lot on his show about private home ownership, the difference between renting, leasing, and owning your own home, and how you gain equity and savings, and could we have, or should we have built something? And the government's been trying. On one hand, they've had a master plan for the Hikatnya redevelopment authority, but that bill didn't pass in August, and precedently, yet yesterday, and when we were releasing this audit, the governor transmitted to the legislature a bill again asking for the legislature to approve the Hagåtña Redevelopment Restoration Plan Authority's master plan for Hagåtña, so they could build all of the facilities down here for office spaces.
Yeah, and the idea was to consolidate most, if not all, government agencies in a single complex, correct? In the capital city?
Yes. But also the other thing is the other criticism, and you will note that when I have my auditors do an audit, I don't direct it. I'm not sure you were back at the time, Nestor. But when I fought against the demolition of the Manuel Leon Guerrero building, the Department of Administration building, I was really opposed to that demolition. I felt that that building could have been rehabilitated and restored, and there could have been a floor for all the senators there in one of the wings. And the legislature would not have to be leasing property all over the island. All the senators would be in one place and would be accessible to people, the populace. And on the other floors, other government agencies could have had their spaces, but no. The governor at the time wanted to demolish the building, and the Historic Preservation Trust supported it, and I was just beside myself. But you'll notice in this audit, it's just mentioned in passing. It doesn't have my diatribe on the loss of that. The government, it's like a crab. It sheds its shell and just moves on.
How would you?
I mean,
is there political resistance?
What?
Is there political resistance, and if there is, what do you attribute that to?
I don't know. It would seem to me that effective planning, you would support it. The other big increase, the 25% increase in lease payments that the executive is paying currently, is because of public health and social services.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Yeah, this report kind of singled out, but of course their main branch was deemed not usable anymore, right?
It wasn't. It was never condemned.
You're talking about the Manila? I thought it was condemned. No?
Yeah, no, it wasn't condemned. They're going to give it to GCC, and GCC is going to turn it into the nursing facility.
So now they're spread out. Yeah. So now they're spread out all over
something, but GovGuam can't. If it was condemned, then it should have been raised, but it wasn't.
Yeah. So should they reconsolidate somewhere else besides, instead of doing all these separate pieces?
And discussing this at this time, the plan for the health, for the medical complex that the governor has, they're going to move mental health, GMH, and public health into this big campus. But no one's talking about what are we going to do with the Manila facility? Why aren't there any plans to use that by the government itself, not GCC? But can't that be restored? I mean, restored, renovated, whatever. Can't they fix the electrical system in there and use that building to house some of the government agencies that are leasing property now? There's talk to move GMH and mental health to this new medical center. What's going to happen to the building that's up there in Tamuning right now? Have you heard any plans as to what they're going to do with it?
No, I haven't.
The mental health facility is perfectly capable of being some government agency, is being an agent. It is housing some agencies now, but there's no talk about which ones are going to move in there. Maybe the hospital, maybe a new hospital can be built, and maybe the mental health can be close to it since they're both hospitals of sorts. But maybe public health can take the hospital and mental health building and have all the public health up there.
Yeah.
But there's no discussion. I mean, about that. And as lessors, the government of Guam is awful. I mean, awful's kind. It's near incompetent. The airport leased all that land that huge facility is that's where all those commercial spaces are, and the government and the airport and Customs and Quarantine are paying almost, I think, was it $4 million to rent, to have a lease space in that building. How is it possible that you're paying more for leased space than for the underlying acreage of real property that you provided? Why didn't you provide yourself some kind of arrangement in that lease to have a discounted or even free rent? We've seen private landowners who lease their real property to a hotel, and they own the penthouses upstairs.
Yeah.
Why couldn't someone in Guam have negotiated some kind of lease like that?
Yeah.
We'll lease you the underlying land, you build the building, but we get, some office space. No, the airport's paying for its maintenance people to be in this new building at a phenomenal rate. One of the main reasons why I wanted to do this study on the leases is because this upcoming year, the financial audit for all the government agencies is going to have to implement Rule 87, GASB Statement 87, which requires the entity to document all the lease agreements that they have in their agency. And I thought this would be a way that they could start collecting them and getting all the leases together so that when the auditors come through to look at it, they have them in one place and we can look at them. But we had some people out here, some auditors out here to do a training session, and they were amazed at how much Customs and Quarantine is paying. They were saying, the one guy was joking, he goes, they're paying more than Manhattan for crime.
I think there was a bill or maybe part of the budget to kind of fund the CQA's lease payments, but it's not clear to me exactly what that bill was. But Mr. Speaker, we've got 2 or 3 minutes left. Maybe could you give us like a summary of your conclusions and recommendations as a result of this audit of the government leases?
Yeah, well, the main recommendation was to read the audit and try to figure out why it is that there's this gross disparity in lease payments, in monthly payments, and have someone negotiate the next set of leases so that there's some kind of uniformity in the amounts that the agencies are paying. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that in the ITC building that they have that much of a disparity in their rent. And even I haven't really looked at here in this DNA building, but I'm sure it's the same thing here. But why that disparity? Have an agency oversee that. Keep some place where someone collects all of the leases so that when I do another audit, it doesn't take me 3 months for people to find them. And make sure that the leases are signed.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
And make sure that the leases are signed.
Right. That says a lot.
I'm not even sure. I didn't want to ask the question, well, how are you paying the monthly rent if you can't show that you have a lease agreement that shows that you have that obligation? But that wasn't part of the audit, so I didn't ask that question, but anyway. And also start planning. Either build your own buildings, and with the buildings that you do own, don't just walk away from them like a crab abandons its shell. Figure out some way to, reuse. I mean, it was a gross environmental disaster to renovate. I mean, to demolish the Manuel Leandro building. I hope there's no move to do the same thing to the Manila facility for public health and social services. And the GMH, maybe for health reasons, for a hospital, it might not be suitable right now, but restore it, do something, and turn it into a giant office space. You can't just make that all rubble.
Yeah. All right. I think I get your message. The GovGuam should get out of leasing and build its own and use its own property.
Yeah, you put it perfectly. Build its own and use its own. There's no need to support giving it to GCC. Keep it, renovate it, get Public Works in there or whoever, renovate the building and put some agencies in there.
All right.
They were smart at the very beginning of the administration. They bought the Hessler building, but they haven't figured that they should do that to other places. The Hessler building, it was worse off than the Manila facility.
All right, Mr. Speaker, I still call you Mr. Speaker. Public Auditor B.J. Cruz, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sharing your thoughts on government leasing. You had a lot to say, and I hope they take heed.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nestor LeConte. We'll see you next week on In Full Zoom.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.